Hey, guess what? I finally made myself proper avatars. Hi, I'm Sol the Celestin, also known as Sol. First of all, thank you so much for all the support on my Vocaloid covers and for reaching 100 subscribers. Second of all, I'm sorry, because videos like this are actually my main content. I just post covers for fun. It's been a hot minute since I made a video about Magical Girl Racing project. In my redesigns video, I was talking about how I'm still reading the novels, part 1 of Restart arc specifically. Now that I finished it, I can say it's a great arc, by the way. Now I still haven't read all the volumes, but I'm currently reading the limited part 2. But now, since I first read the novels, I really wanted to make a video giving my thoughts on the character design. So here we are! I'm gonna talk about all the designs from the first arc of Magical Girl Racing project and tell you what I think about them. Though I have to make some clarifications. These are my opinions. Even though I try to analyze the designs in a more objective way at times, I'm not a professional character designer yet, and most of my judgment comes from my personal taste. You are free to tell me your opinions in the comments section, please. I'm sorry if I sound redundant a lot of the time. I actually really struggle putting my thoughts into words. I swear I'm not an AI. My slop comes from my human heart. Also, English is not my first language, and I struggle with pronunciation. I recommend you to watch this video by TwinSync ranking MGRP's designs. Even if I don't agree with some of their opinions, they explain their points much better than I could ever do, and it's interesting to see another perspective about these designs. Also, their video is pretty nice, go check it out. And with that out of the way, let's begin! Out of the entire cast of MGRP, I think Snow White is the one that looks more like a stereotypical magical girl. Frills, ribbons, flowers everywhere. To be fair, it makes a lot of sense for her character. She's a naive girl that loves and idolizes magical girls. Of course, she's gonna make her outfit look like that. Also, I don't know if it was intentional, but I feel her sailor uniform is a very clever reference tribute to Sailor Moon, one of the most iconic Magical Girl franchises ever, and well, of course the Magical Girl obsessed kid will base her design on Sailor Moon. The color cohesion is very good in my opinion. Her all-white attire is not just because of her name. It represents her ideal of what magical girls are and should be. Pure, perfect, good. And it also fits her personality, since the way she views magical girls is very innocent and naive. Following her school motif, she also has a red armband on her left arm. Red armbands in Japanese schools are used to identify the leader of a group, which honestly, it might be a reference to her being one of the main, most important characters in the franchise, but she doesn't give off the vibe of a leader, at least to me. Alongside her magical schoolgirl motif, she also has a flower motif. She has cherry blossom flowers all over her design. I think maybe too many flowers for my liking though. I like the flower bud on her hairband. It feels like a representation of how Snow White is still young and innocent. Cherry blossoms can symbolize beauty and hope, which is something that characterizes many magical girls. However, according to this website I found during research, cherry blossoms can also mean life and death, and peace and violence, which I find very fitting for the overall themes of the franchise. Changing the subject, but still kind of related to Snow White's flower motif, let's talk about her hair. It's pretty weird because in the original light novels, she's described as having platinum blonde hair. Meanwhile, the anime and a lot of official art depicts her with light pink hair. Maybe I'm biased because the anime was what introduced me to the franchise, but I think that pink hair suits her better, because it's not only cute but it also complements her cherry blossom motif. In conclusion, despite some of my problems, Snow White's design is great and I love it. One of the best here. I kinda talked about my problems with Ripple's design in my redesigns video, so I'll try to go more in detail here. Before I continue, I'll have to address the elephant in the room. Yeah, a lot of the designs in the franchise are sexualized, and I might mention that a lot throughout this video. Ripple's design looks pretty sexualized, which is weird because she's still a 17-year-old, and maybe even weirder keeping in mind that she's a victim of sexual harassment. Also, girl, don't complain about the design of your magical girl Sona. You made it! Jokes aside, my problem is that a ninja magical girl is a really awesome concept. I just wish they didn't execute that as bikini that resembles ninja attire. Though she still resembles a ninja, so it's okay, I guess. Well, my preferences aside, her design is nice. The colors complement each other really well. The red scarf is what stands out the most. It takes your eyes to her face without looking out of place. However, I find some details kind of unnecessary, like the fishnet upper sleeves and also the puffballs. I mentioned this in my previous redesign video, but I don't know why they are there. What's their function on her design? What I mean is that in my personal opinion, they just make her silhouette more confusing. Despite all of my problems, I think her design is fine, and it serves its purpose. We love this badass Emperor transgender queen. I also talked about La Pucelle in my other video, but just like Ripple, I'm gonna talk about her design a bit more in detail here. Ignoring the obvious thing that I mentioned earlier, which by the way, it kind of makes sense that a 14-year-old boy is going to give his girl avatar big boobs. This is a pretty awesome design. She resembles both a knight and a dragon. Eastern dragons usually symbolize strength and wisdom, which is fitting since she's Snow White's mentor and protector. However, she looks more like a Western dragon, which is more associated with greed, evil, and chaos. This doesn't fit her character, obviously, but it kinda does fit the knight motif, because of the popular dragon versus knight trope in Western and European media. As mentioned before, she's also a knight in shining armor. Well, not literally, but we'll get to that. Which fits perfectly fine since she vowed to protect Snow White when the killings began, even dying for her. Speaking of knights, her armor is not protective at all, but that's just something I personally dislike. Also, a little nitpick, in her original design from the novels, her chestplate is supposed to be made of metal, but in the anime it's just normal cloth? How can you make her already unprotective armor even more unprotective? Ignoring all that, she looks both awesome and elegant. The little horns on her head help make her silhouette more interesting. Following her dragon motif, her slit pupils are a nice detail. Another nitpick I have is that I don't really like her light blue eyeshadow. I think it would look better if it was kind of navy blue, just like the one on her design. I also think it will make her face pop a little more. Despite all that, I love La Pucelle's design and character. First of all, you're telling me she's married to a guy 7 years older than her, that she met as a kid, and she's also a housewife and pregnant at 19 years old? She should have been at the club. Jokes aside, Top Speed's design is simple but adorable. At first I thought, why is she a stereotypical witch? Why did I go with that for her design? Then I came up with my own interpretations. There's going to be a lot of those this video. Let me explain, and bear with me because I genuinely don't know how to put it in words. I think her being a witch is a reference to her delinquent past, when she will cause trouble without worrying about what other people think. Witches often represent what people do not expect for their idea of how women should be, like for example, a reckless troublemaker. I feel like Top Speed feels a bit like her old self when transformed as a magical girl. Or maybe the author thought witches are cool, I don't fucking know, bro. That aside, as I said, I like her design. In the light novel, the inside of her cloak is orange with black stripes, while in the anime it's plain orange. Honestly, I prefer the latter. It helps her body to stand out and it's not a pain to animate. Speaking of orange, her color palette is very Halloweeny and it fits her witch motif to a T. I also like that the end of her braids look like a broom, if that makes sense. She also has a beard charm, which is a cute detail and also foreshadowing. Something I don't really like is the purple gauntlet on her left arm, like why is it there? That aside, Top Speed's design is very solid, simple, but adorable. Oh Nemurin, how I love you. Her design is simple, maybe a bit too simple for a magical girl, but it works and it's cute. And it makes sense keeping in mind what we know about her character. I like to think that she was probably just too lazy to make a fully detailed magical girl design. Despite its simplicity, Nemurin still kind of looks magical. I find the little clouds really cute, though I think there are too much of them. It makes her design a bit cluttered in some places. I like the socks and I like the pink highlights on her hair. The ones on her bangs help to also highlight her face. I don't have much to say. I really like this design.
Excuse me, princess.
She thinks she's better than everyone and treats anyone who she thinks is inferior as trash. So what better way to represent this than making her a member of the royalty? Her entire design, from the outfit to her body language, screams, "I am better than you, kneel before me." I love her purple hair, the color of royalty and luxury. Her big-ass hair clips kind of remind me of those very fancy crowns, you know what I mean. I love the frilly elegant shirt, even her shoes have frills. Her cape is a nice touch and I like that it's two-colored. It looks nice and helps her body stand out. I do have some nitpicks with her design. What are those puffs around her hips? For some reason they bother me, but I can't put my finger on why it does. Another nitpick I have are the pants. They're not bad actually, but I wish they were a different color to contrast her shirt. Speaking of, this might not have been intentional, but the pants kinda look like Princess Sims, which obviously fits her motif. Though I think Princess Sims are mostly used in dresses and shirts, but there are Princess Sims pants, I think? Anyway, pretty solid design. I put them together because they have the same design with just a few differences, and also because they're basically inseparable. Something I never noticed is that their halos look like speech bubbles, which is pretty cool. I think it's a reference to how the twins are always yapping with each other. They have matching designs, with the laces in each leg having almost the same haircut, even the fact that each one of them has one wing. This represents perfectly that they're really close to each other. They're twin sisters after all. Although there's no reason why they chose to make their characters angels. Maybe they did it because angels look cute. I've seen people say that Minael and Yunael's power of shape-shifting into any living thing or object makes no sense for their angel motif, but I think it kind of makes sense, at least to me. According to some biblical stories and even other religions besides Christianity, angels have the ability to shape-shift so they can blend in with humans and deliver God's messages. Though I never heard of an angel turning into an inanimate object to deliver a message from God. They usually turn into humans, and probably animals if I'm not wrong. But who cares, that's just my interpretation and I wanna hear yours. Another interpretation for their angel motif I saw in the comment section of the video ranking MGRP design that I like is this one. The commenter says that the Peaky Angels motif is subversion because angels are seen as pure and good, but Minael and Yunael are actually brats and also kind of assholes. Though, as I said, I want to see your own interpretation down below. Hi guys, it's me, Sol from the future. I was editing this video and I noticed that it's gonna be very long and it's gonna take a lot of time. So I just decided to make it 2 parts. I hope you can understand that decision. That aside, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it and see you in the next part. Bye bye.